I think it's time so we can start the session now. So I really want to welcome all of you to today's session on digital marketing redefined by big data. My name is Kapil Nakra and I'm one of the co-founders of Digital Vidya. Today we have with us Chirantan Ghosh. I don't know, those of you who have been attending our webinars regularly, we have done one webinar in the past as well, wherein personally I got a lot of insights into the social media space. The title of that webinar was Social Media for Small Businesses, and we did that a couple of months back. So really want to thank Chirantan for taking time out and walking us and taking us through this interesting topic. I'm sure all of you would be as curious about big data and big data related stuff as I am right now. So just to give you a little background of Chirantan, Chirantan heads the communication in the SME division at TCS, and he has worked with major brands including Apple, MTV, Sony, AT&T, AOL, Time Warner. So coming back to the topic of today's session, it's social media, digital marketing redefined by big data. I'm sure all of you would be hearing this buzzword big data a lot in the PR world these days. And I mean, I've read a lot of articles about big data, but the more I'm reading stuff about it, the more I'm really getting confused on what really it means for marketer. And the technical world is working a lot on this area, but what does that really mean for us as a marketer? That's what the session is about. So without taking any further time, I'll just hand it over to Chirantan to walk us through and enlighten us in this area. Just to set the logistics first, those of you who are joining in for the first time, all of you are muted right now. So during the session, if you have any question or concern, just type it down in the question panel. And we'll take up all the questions, and this session is about 1 hour duration. So for first half an hour to 35 minutes, we'll have a presentation, and after that we'll have an open Q&A. So and I'll try to take all the questions that you'll possibly put up over here. So even during the presentation, if you have any question, just keep typing it down in the questions panel. Okay, so that's it from my side. Over to you, Chirantan. Thank you.
Hi Kapil, pleasure to be in Digital Vidya once again. I hope all of you are quite awake at this point in India, because it's post lunch and we are all a little bit under the tipsy weather. So without any further ado, the topic that we are going to discuss today is how does big data and data warehousing influence us as marketers and digital marketers. So in order to do that, the first thing that I would like to do is taking you through a little bit of journey of what really has been data warehousing for marketers. First thing that we have seen, that before we always used to have all of our large server rooms and everybody was barred and we went on tapes and all of that, and we always needed to have a lot of staff members who can facilitate that at a high-end technology way. So from that perspective, we started moving into cloud. One of the findings that IBM put forward that you see in the infographic over there is about good 33% of the companies moved into cloud, just not because it's the shareability point, also it's available across the devices. It's just not your laptop or desktop, it is also your tablets, your mobile phones, and so have you. So that was one of the principal drivers how we have moved. So basically from specific local silos, we have moved into cloud, and within cloud we have two different principal points. One is private cloud, that is your company might have one single cloud where they put on all the enterprise data. Another is enterprise cloud, which is provided by high-end providers, some of which we already know, like Amazon is out there, Google Clouds are there, and lot many others are out there. So imagine just as you would look up in the blue sky and see clouds floating in. You have private clouds and enterprise clouds, and then it becomes a sky that is full of cloud. So it becomes an environment by itself. Now that has been the buzzword, and this is something that is related to big data that I'll walk you through. As you see, I've put forward some points that illustrate the point. What I'm trying to say in big data, it's basically your cloud environment, your mobile applications, your content distribution network, that is your CDNs, your storage facility of your data, and all of that is there. In addition, you have all the social component in the open web. So big data is like a blue sky which has all these clouds and all the mixes going on. You have airplanes moving in the sky, you have storm clouds, you have hails, everything is out there in this big data. That in essence is where our ginormous pool of data is put forward. So in order to have such ginormous amount of data to be computed, you need something of a high velocity. It's called high performance computing, HPC. I've linked it out. You can see my company's offering on the sense. And the bigger part of this is you take big data, you have all this enormous amount of cloud, and now you want to harvest the data, which is using these high performance computing, you can churn out business intelligence and analytics. These might be enterprise analytics, it might be social, it might be your demographical. So what we have actually done in this journey of evaluation of data warehousing is we have migrated, we are aggregating all these data points from different sources in order to understand what our goals are. It might be our sales goals, it might be our branding goals, it might be our KPI driven goals. So moving forward, just a layman's idea, presenting what exactly is big data and search and how are they connected for digital marketers. If you can think of the analogy of fruit and ladder, the fruit is kind of hanging out there in the tree, which you can see. It's a very pollinated tree, has a lot of fruit, but in order for you to go ahead and extract one of the fruit, you need a device. This ladder is your search, and big data is the tree where all the fruits are there. So you want to get your business intelligence, you want to get actionable analytics, you simply have to use the tool of search to harvest that, which is an indexing program, and get what you want. One of the interesting things that we can acknowledge right now as a premise of this conversation, in IDC made one study which I have linked out for all of you, that we have more than 1.8 trillion gigabytes of data just created and replicated in 2011. It's 1.8 zettabytes of data. Enormous data is available to you. Back in the days when you're functioning in silos, you were functioning what your department got or your business unit got or your company got, then you had to cross interface with everybody else. Those days are gone. You have a lot of data that is available to you. How you structure it and how you derive information is completely a different ballgame. I've taken the liberty of illustrating the points from the infographics available from third-party industry leaders. 90% of the world's data was created in just 2010 to 2012, and 80% of this data is actually unstructured. What I mean by unstructured is a Tom, Dick, Harry, a Chirantan starts putting together different kind of data. He is uploading things in SlideShare, putting some posts in Facebook, he's tweeting all of this, and then he's also putting in some material in the enterprise server. So this is not what we call structured. Structured is what you plug in through your CRM devices, your ERP applications. Those are structured data. As you see, that business leaders have already made it a point that they allocate a lot of their resources and effort in getting business analytics and participation in big data. This data points takes us forward to our next slide into what is going on big in terms of this big data. Now you have a ginormous pool of data. How are you going to easily search? Now, one such thing that is available to us, just like Google has produced the normal search, also it has given a similar kind of a tool available to us, which is called BigQuery. The URLs are linked and you can go ahead and give it a whirl. It is free of cost at this point of time, and just see how much amount of data that you can parse in a matter of seconds. What I did is went ahead and made a search for my company, and we found out that all these of 41K documents in Wikipedia and all of that, the search volume 979 times it has been found, and this data we can find in matter of seconds. As you see in the graphic over there, it even says how long it took for me to fire up the search. Now, in a little bit technical terms, BigQuery is a SQL based cloud parsing tool that really lets you harvest any of these data. Now, you don't need a software, you don't need any of hardwares for that. You just need a browser, and this is what Google calls REST interface, or it's easy to use. So from a browser based platform, you can have your dashboards, you can fire up the queries, and you can gather the data. Now, this is all on a price point. You can start with some limited amount of R&D free of cost from Google, but after that it's at a premium price. So as a company, you might want to think about allocating a little of your marketing budget for that, because we are growing exponentially high, and this is one of the tools where you can start finding new relevant information. Especially product companies would want to invest quite a deal, because you want to figure out how much dynamic your environment is and how much you can extract out of it. So in other words, big data is a pay per query search engine that you have available right now. Now, taking it forward, assume you don't want to use something like an enterprise solution like BigQuery. How do you want to go ahead and get the best out of big data in terms of your own environment? Hadoop is something that has been introduced in an Apache model. Let me rephrase it in my own word and try to explain what it does. Assume you have about 600 servers stacked up in different uh, environments and then different locations. What Hadoop would let you do is it will plug in all of these servers and your server space and keep on parsing that whole data. So you actually have a mini big data environment going on in your own environment, which is a private cloud. It might be, it might not as well. So now when you want to integrate this, that becomes a bigger thing. I have taken a little bit of an infographic that gives a little bit of perspective how data warehousing is being changed by Hadoop. Because two things that you really want to remember about this product is it's a data processing framework. That is, it lets you keep on adding thing as it goes. So you don't have to start big. You can start at your own pace and keep on growing. Second part is it's a file distributed system, so you can keep on applying enterprise layer of protections and security, because when you're looking at such a ginormous amount of data, the data security risk keeps on increasing. So you might want to put your SSLs and your security features in, which Hadoop completely lets you do on your own. So in what I tried to say in the footnote over there, if your company or IT provider has already a cluster of cloud servers together, you can aggregate all the data and find the trends from Hadoop. Again, this is more of a web-based dashboard that you can fire all the queries, start getting relevant, meaningful insights. And getting insights is the way to market, because if you want to do even content marketing across all the channels, then you need to have a potent content. And in order to be relevant in your content, you need to know what is going on right now in real time. So if you have a real time for telecom industry, if you want to figure out you're launching a new, say, 4G device or data card, you simply want to see what other people are bickering about in their services. So instead of dragging a 3 month survey, paying big bucks to agencies and research companies, you can harvest that data from the big data environment and take it forward. Moving forward, I wanted to say we have had a lot of technical conversations. What is BigQuery, sorry, and Hadoop, and all of that. Now, let us just say in very simple words, what does it mean to me? Uh, Search marketing is one of the domains that is really taking off in an exponential scale. Very soon, digital marketing won't be called marketing, but it would become the significant part of marketing. So the missing link, as I would like to call, social media was never plugged into the big data. Now it is being plugged in as a data source. What I mean by data source is your enterprise cloud is a data source where you can gather all of the data. You can go ahead and look into a public database, and there you can find some data. Now you have all the social medias that are turning out a lot of data. In the very last slide, I'd be able to quantify this and show you the value of it. But for now, humor me, this is a significant part of search marketing, because whatever happens in social media also has a search repercussion. So I've mentioned some of the companies who are giving out products where it's an integrated solution in marketing, where you have new trends, you can harvest prospects, isolate leads, and again, understand the voice of your consumers, your customers, and your target audience. That is very, very pertinent in this day. So you can look at these products, and they all have their videos, short little snippets without a lot of technology um, terms and jargons. You would be able to understand what they are offering, but these are all high-end digital marketing products. Now, let's put a practical test case. If you were in an organization like UN or World Health Organization, which is WHO, and you wanted to isolate just one individual report trend. Mind you, I'm not searching for one single record. I want to look at a trend pattern for all these organizations from across their data sources, because keep in mind they have a huge database of employees, associates, partners, forums, etc. Now, the test case that I'm posing forward, if you wanted to find out the best physician or the research authority on deep sea bacteria-borne illness in a very short span of time, because a global epidemic broke out, how would you really parse through all of those data, which might be records, attachment, messages, images, videos, all of that in very short amount of time? Think about how, when the West Nile virus was spreading as an epidemic, think about when the bird flu was happening. All of these things, they were happening cross continent, and you are functioning in silo. Today, India, China is doing research, USA is doing another research while it's going on. Now, if you had this big data mining happening, then you would be able to put all of these trends together and look at a holistic picture. Now, this is an ideal case scenario in application of real world, but as a marketer, you might have the same need if you are doing, if your company is launching a new technology product, you want to parse through all of the data in real time. Believe me, oftentimes we see powerful companies launching similar products in similar timelines in a matter of 2 3 months, gigantic amounts spent on public campaigns. So you as a marketer need to justify that the money that you're spending, how much return it is going to bring. So doing a big data search query and trend matrix, you would be able to project a return on investment and unit cost, which is a lot in terms of significant business data analysis. BI again takes a different trend if you're doing a consumer monitoring as well before launching an upgrade of a product. It happens a lot in the auto industry that before launching a new engine or so, you would really want to see what your audience is saying, the prospective buyers, your consumers, what they are talking about, and then you try to find out what product development really needs to be, or what the marketing unit price needs to be. This is a marvelous tool to take on board and utilize as you build. Now, we have talked about search and how it's a tool, a ladder to get the fruit that you want. Now, a little bit of background, we already talked about Google as a provider, which is essentially a search company, but just understand a little bit of the technology that is playing in the back end of search. Essentially, enterprise search, it might not be only Google, it might be your SharePoints or what have you in terms of content management system that spews the data. Once you have all of your input document, which might be your white papers, brochures, and whatnot, now that is taken forward and divided into shards. Shards are little pieces of information. Think of it as maps are being converted in small little hotspots. So instead of seeing the whole hotspot, instead of seeing the whole map of a region, you're looking at the hotspots, and you see in movies how people start referring in action movies 4 clicks away, that they're defining a geography by coordinates. That's what it is being done in the first level of search. Everything is broken down into shards, then it's put into something that is called a reducer. A reducer is what essentially compresses this whole information and puts it to your local disk. Now, there is some significant problem which I have put forward on the left side. While the reducer is doing due to inefficiency, this is legacy inefficiency, it creates a lot of garbage data that keeps on piling up in your local disk, which we like to call in technical language is your LI or local instance. From your local instance, now you're pushing it to your cluster storage, which might be in the cloud. Now, in that clustered storage, you have it. growing at an exponential rate, and when it needs to be indexed and parsed by a search engine, by legacy system, it could not do it directly from this cluster storage in the cloud. It again had to be brought forward into a local instance, a local disk, for the search engine to be index these small little index files or shards. So this is where you start having the search engine spewing out your query. So all of these things need to happen before you can have these search results. I told you two big problems. One is a lot of garbage data pile up that you have to clean in your local instance. You have to deliver significantly in terms of your IT infrastructure. People who are experts only can do this. A lot of data networking knowledge is required. And the next part, unnecessarily, you again have to bring in and create a process of local instance on the second when you migrate the data from your cloud, and in order for the search engine to index the files. That is an unnecessary step, and it also has a lot of cost variation to that, also time and effort. So now what you see with the present data warehousing revolution, whether we are talking about Hadoop or similar structures, there is something called Network File System, NFS. It's a simplified system. Now the data flows directly from the cloud storages that you see over there. Those three data spaces that I have put forward, uh, they symbolize mirrors. When you have, oftentimes if you want to download something, you will see where do you want to download it from the mirror in UK or in USA or in Asia Pacific or in APEC region. What it means, it's the same data is stored into different environment and download it from the closest possible environment, so you get much easier access to it. So all of this is possible with the new search engine, and this is also a boon of big data, because how we have restructured the data warehousing is completely giving a lot of value in terms of search marketing. So if you want to have a very good search marketing and data availability in your organization as a marketer and a technologist, you might want to think about having a mashup hybrid between enterprise frameworks like Google BigQuery and also stand alone silo parsing capacity, something like Hadoop. When you mix both of them, you have best of both the worlds, and you can function as an easier rate. The last thing that I wanted to tell you, what really is the value as a digital marketer can you extract out of big data? Before I give out my predictions or synopsis of how best we can leverage this, let's try and understand the scope of it. This data, again, I take no ownership of it. It's borrowed from third party sources, as in the image. Mobile spend in USA in 2011 has been 2.1 billion USD. That is not a small sum of money, and we all know mobile ad spend is going up, and it's skyrocketing across. Whether you have customers in US, EU, or APAC region, whichever it might be, mobile ad spend is going at an exponential scale. This is one small little bubble that you have. Then you have online ad spends. It's 83.2 billion USD. This is an estimated figure for 2012. This is also a significant number that is being spent. Now think of social networking, as I was trying to say why social media was a missing link. Now it's plugged in. Facebook, you have 100 TB of data uploaded every single day. 100 TB daily uploads. For Twitter, it's 200 million tweets daily. Significant volume that you have over here. So there is a lot of growth over here. Now you see 60% of this growth is available for you to marginalize in digital percentage, and you have 80% growth in unstructured data. So all of this is pulling out into one single big bowl, which is your big data. Now what you have a unique capability to optimize all of this data, structure and provide it, whether you're doing it from an IT standpoint or you're doing it from digital marketing uh, standpoint as a service provider. You can go ahead optimize the audience for your clients and streamline this, that you are spending so much of mobile data and online spends. Let me go ahead and structure your audience so you can get better value out of that. That is a very crucial part of big data that you can do. We all know content optimization is a huge pain, and when you're talking about distributing to such a gigantic volume, it really needs to be done in domain expertise needs to be there. It needs to be done in a very structured format where you can follow the best practices, because we're emerging into this world and you do not want to pollute the source, so your clients end up paying more in order to get the return that they're looking at. So the ROI will keep on increasing if the content is not optimized. The next part is channel. We have so many channels these days. You are not limited just by your web pages, blogs, mobile spends or social media. You have exponential amount of data that you can spew out according to the channel of your desire, because you can predict the return on investment of each of these channels and then take it forward. So as a digital marketer, the scope of big data is very big, and you can extract a lot of value both financially or and in terms of quality for your consumer to take it forward. Now, a couple of things that I have put forward on the deck for you to utilize. One is you might want to think about another channel of advertisement, which would be big data cloud search. This is an evolving environment. Assume there are 5 global MNCs that come together in a non-compete ground, and they have a big data pod. Wouldn't you want your enterprise offering to appear in such search? What we were talking about BigQuery. So what we have been doing right now in search marketing will again be transposed into cloud search in the big data environment. So that will be another channel that you might have to budget out and augment your resources. That being said, there has been a press release in the open web. Also, it's evident that Google Analytics, a free tool that lot many people utilize even in the enterprise world, it will be integrating BigQuery. It has already started the primary linking, so you can look at their own test cases like I have showed you from Wikipedia and weather channels. But if you really want to get your own data, you need to think in terms of premium pay per query, that kind of arrangement with Google. The next part is there are tools that are available, like for tablets. I put forward 2 of the products that are available, and mobile devices which can parse and analyze big data from a browser based dashboard without a premium price. But the catch is you need to have your own data source. That means you need to have your own environment where you have a lot of data, and you can pinpoint these tools that go over there, look for the data and give me the BI and data analytics. Now, if you do not have these data sources, a lot many people go out to companies like Nielsen's to get a lot of customer perspective in the manufacturing and retail industries. Now, you might have to think how to take all of that data and put it forward if you want to do it as a homegrown solution instead of the enterprise one. There are also other people who are trying to do that for you. Google is there. There is another significant company called DataShift that is harvesting this big data for the enterprise world, where you create a token price and you can start parsing their database. The next part, as you understand from the technology perspective, how I told you how everything is broken down into shards. So there is a lot of unstructured data there is 80% of growth in unstructured data. So in order for you to be found, you need to make sure there is a lot of tagging. Assume you go to a retail store, into a supermarket. Why do they have aisles and labels? So you can quickly find your product because of the labelings, and so thereby a index system is always going to look for these kind of metadata, and metadata is always captured best from XML at this point of time. You also have RSS for that, and for videos, MRSS is a very valuable tool. It is very underutilized right now. I would say if you have YouTube channels or similar video platforms, keep on using MRSS feeds. So you you're putting forward your content in this big data space, and people can find you at least amount of pay. So that is the goal as a marketer, to be found relevantly and at ease. Start utilizing these tools better and they will produce much better results. Now, there are some IT industry leaders. I have given example of four who are providing digital marketing insights from big data perspective and enterprise perspective. But there is a trend that we see that they might want to tie up with bigger research companies or try to influence them as alliance partners, because you're talking about significant amount of advertisement budget being rerouted, so the everybody is going to follow the money, and by doing that, a lot of partnership and alliances will be seen in the upcoming days. At the same time, if your organization has a KPO organization or research organization, or you take services from similar organizations, you might want to allocate significant amount of your budget for these kind of activities, because it will start to become more and more robust, and as much as resource you would allocate to such facilities, you would emerge as a leader. So I think it has been my effort to translate how best a digital marketer and marketer can take advantage of the ongoing big data evolution. If you have any questions, feel free to send it out to my Twitter. You can also partner me up in LinkedIn, connect me over there, send you a question, and of course you have this forum where you can definitely put forward your questions.
Great. That was like a lot of words I got confused. So before I actually open it up for question, let me make the whole story a little more clear in a layman terms for me, also, and see where I'm going wrong. So I mean, I got your point in terms of the volume of data is increasing tremendously, and like you mentioned, in the last 2 years, probably 90% of the published data is now is generated in the last 2 years. So, and I'm sure the existing tools to handle data were not that equipped to take care of the growth in data. So the data is available. As in marketers, I can use it to analyze and to provide the improved services, right? So the question is how to do that. So in between, as a marketer, one of the tools that is available is BigQuery, which I can use. And since the BigQuery is available and like big giants coming together and using it appropriately, there's sort of a cloud search that is there. So one of the opportunity as a marketer is that I can go out and advertise in the cloud search kind of an environment, right? And secondly, you mentioned about the Hadoop, which is, I mean, how it appears to me, it's more like if you have a data source, or if you have a data coming in, then it's probably a framework which can help you to query and structure it appropriately. Now, the question is that as a marketer, I mean, if what I've said is what exactly you wanted to communicate as a framework. So as a marketer, if I'm being a analytic tool company, I mean, all these things makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I can actually build up a partnership with all the big players which have the data and try to create some kind of a tool which can help marketers use all of these data effectively. So, but as a marketer, what is it? I mean, so how can I go about it in simple steps and experience the value of it that is available? So is there some way I can test it out, do something, do some stuff?
First thing that I would recommend, couple over here, as marketers, we always do a primary find what we want to communicate. So once we have that
Right.
brief, what we want to find out, is it the research part that we're looking into in big data because ginormous volume is available, or is it just a simple structured communication that we want? It's if it's an outbound communication, only push exercise, then first thing is to structure out your content. As I've been saying, optimize, optimize, optimize. Once you put it into all of these hubs, we need to meaningfully convey into one single segment. Assume I want to take this session of digital Vidya, and as a knowledge session I want to distribute as a marketer. So the first thing I would try to figure out who has a lot of attendance in the social media perspective in terms of knowledge events. I find out all those knowledge hubs, and at this point of time when I'm firing a query in big data, I'm looking for knowledge hubs. So I've isolated where I want to bombard my content. That is isolating channels and specific nodes of the channels. Once that is done, I want to take a feedback that what are the negative sentiments going around, or what has already been communicated. There are, as you said, a lot many people have talked about big data and search marketing. So what is unique about this particular session that we are having? We want to highlight that, showcase that, redefine the product, and then put it forward. You are able to do that just because you have that huge availability of data. The last part is trying to make a content more vital. If you want a PR exercise out of it, first thing that you can do is, as I said, isolate the nodes, and then you set up every single campaign. In big data, it will tell you what has been most successful for such campaigns in social media, or in terms of um, maybe blogging campaigns, webinars. And then you need to figure out, is it also live attendance? One quick example would be, this is, you remember when IBM Watson first came on, everybody was dazzled that IBM Watson is using that cloud memory to host a show, but that is least of it. And what you are doing effectively over here is trying to gather the data. What Microsoft and some other companies made an alliance and created TED, most talked about articles, and they found out that real attendance in events is something that is super underutilized asset. So they went in digital media, they spew out a lot of content in um, web, in videos and all of that, but they have made it sure that there is a lot of physical attendance. So what you get is when you harvest something like big data, you get conclusive evidences of the trends. So these trends help shape, because let's not kid ourselves, when we start our marketing plan we try to stay very strategic, but we also have our biases because we have done some primary studies, we have some market research and market positioning, so we have some bias towards certain channels, how we want to go and how we want to project ourselves. But as a marketer, as a senior marketer, it is our responsibility to say that this is what you will really get out of it. You really want to do a YouTube campaign, but our, this will only produce this much. But whereas if you do a LinkedIn campaign, you might get a better one, because this is the indicative data. So we are in a unique position at this point of time to steer our companies and our executive management team into product shaping. So product shaping is a big component where we'll get a lot of help in big data. And then as an action item, you can put forward like four primary data that you research and then you put forward. In other words, research is a huge component where the big data will give a lot of support, structured distribution, and the least is planning out advertisement modules. In search engine marketing and search engine advertisement, which is PPC and CPCs, you actually get to see a mass of data and you can predict this keyword is going to take off after 6 months, because you see a pattern of search query going in that direction. So if you're doing a smart marketing, I would take the expensive keyword, invest in for 1 quarter, and I've taken a least effective keyword, which will have a lot more return after the 3 months campaign. But for a year, I've taken that keyword and I have bid on that. So when I launch my campaign, it becomes a primary driver in search engine marketing perspective, and I get a lot of value. By the time my competition or the industry is catching up, I'm far above the crowd, and my brand recall has gone up.
Got it. So that definitely gives me some clarity. Just to add on to that, one thing that I need additional information I want is like in terms of data sources, you mentioned BigQuery is one of them, and on we have to rely on companies like DataShift, which provides that kind of a data, so which is actually a good data source. So for a marketers, what all are the various sources of data that I can currently work with or can go out and check?
See, before I start on this, what is immediately available versus what is going to be available, what is coming up right now, everybody is heavily invested in the technology part of high performance computing for the enterprise level. In order to participate in that space, you need to have a dependency in big data environment also, because you're trying to spew out large volumes of data. Now, where do you get these data sources? One, as I told you, the Hadoop mentality is I want to grow my on my own organically. I'll keep on piling on. And another one is there are existing databases that I want to market to. So pretty soon you will find people who comb the industries as researchers, people like Nielsen's and such. You would also have analyst companies like Gartners and Forresters. They would soon start having APIs, or what we call APIs, which is a connecting plumbing to your big data harvesting tool. In this case, it might be BigQuery or Hadoop. So you pay them some price and get the plumbing in, so you can filter all of this data. What we are doing exactly right now, that methodology does not change a lot. if I am into the retail space or CPG space, I still have to go to certain people for the data source because they are harvesting it on their own. That remains completely, but there are a few companies that I've mentioned in the earlier slides who are harvesting data points. There are some IT technology providers who are also putting in all these environments where specific data are collected. We are still at infancy of big data, so wherever there is the biggest value of return in terms of money, people have started pulling that kind of data. There is significant amount of growth in the CPG region. So there is a huge volume of data that has been isolated by these enterprise software providers, technology providers, and they have created this big data sources, which their tools mine. Now, if you're thinking about open source, you have public data that uh, you Google has always put forward. There is your Wikipedia that you can find out how much of general level is there. You have social networks, that is a big cloud, and if you can parse through all of those big data, you have significant volume. I'll give you an example. I also am in I'm in an ISU that's called Connected Marketing Solutions for TCS. So what we do a lot for our clients is they have a lot of data but unstructured data. That means they have transcripts from call centers, they have voice data, they have some video data, they have CRM data, they have ERP data, they have third party insights, they have social media data. See, all of these are like small little clouds, they're all different. Now we put them together into one single funnel and gather the analytics out for what they're really looking for, and we give forward our subject matter expertise in terms of what best they can do. They can and then take that, formulate their marketing strategy, and take it forward. Also, oftentimes content strategy changes. You might go out in the market thinking this is what I want to really do, but when you see these trends and implications, you understand that you have to change your game a little bit more and thereby change the content and place it accordingly. So this has been predominantly the sources of data. We're expecting a lot many of this to come up, and if I'm not wrong, Amazon also is heavily investing. Um, just like I'm sorry, something must have happened with my uh, the
That's
slide
okay.
share.
I mean,
So that's about it. Amazon is also providing like Google, and in India space there are 3 4 companies. I'm not in liberty to throw out names, but they are out there in the web. If you just do big data source providers in APAC region, you'll see some of them are there. They're not really high end, but significant amount of data can be harvested.
got it. Great. I'll take up some more questions. So in parallel, as I'm launching this poll in front of you, as Digital Vidya, we keep doing digital marketing trainings. So if you're interested in knowing more about our trainings, you can just mention yes over here. So that's my request to all of you. If you guys can please say at least whatever option you want to choose out of it, that's very important for us. So there are some more questions that users have put up. The first question is from Sumit. Uh, he is saying, uh, can I segment data and find my sweet spot using these tools?
Absolutely, that is the whole point of
Right.
big data. Say, right now, I'm just trying to buy a econ car for my wife.
Yeah.
So,
So
even
just to stop you here, just to complete the question first, he's saying, but only as a SaaS model where I pay as I go. So like segmenting data in a SaaS model, is that possible? That's the complete question actually.
That is completely possible. I'll take the auto manufacturer view. So if you want to find out one single segment that as a, or if you are a OEM provider also, that how much should I manufacture of a part of an engine, say only the distribution valves, then you can go to the segmentation of every single geography, break it down to target profiles, and then segment it in terms of buyer scale. And you have the, if you take the same analogy for retail also, you can see the basket size, you can see the basket value, you can also see the basket spend. So thereby you can start again divided into segments of demographics and all of that, and all of this can be done as a paper query. You simply have to first have a dialogue with all of these providers that this is what I really want to accomplish. Let's have a trial period where you understand my needs and let's formulate a plan. Now you put forward a template and you keep on firing the data and change your template as you go, and you keep on getting those returns, and then you pass it to your team for further segmentation analysis or immediate actions.
Got it, great. Another interesting question is asked by Sachin Sood. He's asking, Hangama wants to organize an online concert and is not sure whether they'll be able to get a fair ROI. How can big data help in this case? So, I mean, I think if you could just highlight on this, then it might solve for a lot of other cases.
See, this is very specific and very interesting, and this is where big data will deliver a lot of value. What we do also, first of all, you want to see the value of how many takers are there. The demand generation, you must see that how many people are actually interested in buying online concert tickets and in that space. So first you can analyze the target audience and where you can plug in a lot of data from social networks. Granted, in this geography you will have some view but not as much clarity as you might have got in US, North America, EU region, because there an average person starts tweeting at least 5 or 6 times a day. Even I have seen like people, they complain about how much they are waiting to go on the job. So if that is the level of frequency, you get a lot of sentiments. The next point that I'm trying to say is you have a lot of sentiment analysis in terms of this is my product, this is the offering, and what are the general consensus. From that point of view, you have a target market, and then from the target market, you want to see a test case. You want to launch a product, but you really don't want to put a lot of money investing in the pilot. So you can have a small little pilot block, take this target segments filtered from big data and put it forward. Now what you have done is, if you put some online mechanisms like your social networks and all of that, you see your bitlies, you use your web analytics, whatever software you're using, and then you see how much people are really talking about it, how much people are engaging themselves, how many people are pushing this as a cool content. Because I might not buy it today, because I might have a dependency on logistics on that specific date for that event, but I might think it's cool and I might want to pass it to my network. That also has a significant amount of value. And the next part is how many are really converted in your converting funnel. When you do some A/B testing, again, you have you have to think that my content will change, my picture will change, and all of that, and my conversion funnel will become smaller. So if you reached out to about 80 lakh people, how many have really converted? If you really see from 80 lakh, you have 800 people coming up, that clearly paints you a picture. But if you take the same amount, 800 people bought the product, but there were about 6 lakh people who have been exposed to the content. That means that there is some level of receptivity, and then you see how many people have really taken and distributed your content, because that shows that there is a promise of the same. And the last part is, you can have one single demo session. Say I am a Beatles fan, so for the survival member of the Beatle, if they come in Bangalore or Mumbai, I definitely want to grab a ticket. But what are my constraints? I have a huge work life, and I have to balance that accordingly. So if I could have a pay-per-view option or similar, then I might be interested. But you first need to know that there is a crowd for Beetle, and if you are able to communicate to me, you release your PR stunts and all of that. But if in the end, if it doesn't reach me on time, I do not action. That's where big data comes in handy, because you get the trend pattern of Chirantan Ghosh and so many unique who have played Beetle content, posted Beetle content in their Facebook or YouTube or any of that, or use the keyword Beatles. So now if you push that content by online advertisement to me, there is a huge chance that I might book it immediately, but also give me some options. If you're not able to book right now, these are the options for you. Then your product has this life cycle sustainability. If I have not bought in right now, there is a loyalty program for me that I can do it later. Also, if you offer the same event at a quarter of a price as a replay, later I might not have that experience. I might not uh, get the privilege of talking to Paul about something, because again he is gone. But just as a reference, there is a privilege membership that you can always encash. There is always a low end bracket also that you can encash. But all of these trends can be harvested in segments from big data.
Got it. I think so. It's already 4:03. I'll just take a one last question. It's actually asked in different forms by different users. So, in a way, people want to know through all the tools that you mentioned so far. We're talking about the public data, right? Or is it that through big data, through some of the providers, we can also access data which are not really available in public, like what people write it on Facebook, which is not there in public domain also. Is that data also available, or we are restricting it to the
Both the
public?
data are available. Let me give two specific examples. One is Twitter. There is an organization who does a lot of CRM marketing, and they're one of the global leaders. They have their own social media engines and all of that. So what they have done is made an exclusive contract with Twitter. So their Twitter data is being plugged into that. But suppose you do not have such a bandwidth. In the whole world, there is one single company who has that privilege with Twitter. But not everybody falls in that league or has the money, buy power for harvesting the same. So now you can always have APIs. Technology companies collect all of these private data from Twitter, from Facebooks, and all of that, and they're available in silos. That's one thing. Then you have research companies like Nielsen's, IDCs, and all of these big information companies who simply harvest the data. They go in the market and collect the data. All of that is up for grabs for you. Now, you need to have a integration plan. For most of these technology providers that I have listed out with them, they already have a partnership with all these data sources. So you simply need to tell them, this is what I really want to find. This is my target market, and these are the KPIs I want to set on my goals. So give me the performance indicators and keep on firing me the data in a structured format so I can utilize that. And every once in a while retweak them so you can utilize. In otherwise summarizing, you can have private data, enterprise data, and you can have public data available to you in big data, and you can monetize that. Sky's the limit.
Got it. I think that clarified all of it. So really want to thank you, Chirantan, for taking time out and having a very, very insightful session for all of us. Uh, for everyone's benefit, the recording of this session will be available in another couple of days. You can just go through all of it. If you want any of your friends to go through it, you're free to actually pass on the link. And I'm sure if like this is an emerging area and we want this knowledge to be available to as many people as possible, and so I think we've had a very good discussion in the last 1 hour, and that will help you to really explore it further. If you have any further question on this, we will be doing a blog post on this as well, so you can just mention it as a comment in that blog post, whatever questions that you have, and then we have to pass it on to Chirantan, and he'll probably take time out sometime and answer all those questions as well. So thank you,
Kapil,
everyone. Thank you,
I take
Chirantan.
a moment.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah,
Kapil. I would like to take a moment, a small
yeah,
little selfish
sure.
self-promotion for a CSR activity that I'm doing. I don't know how many of you are aware of theft in children, especially girl children, when they have some lisp in usually in their mouth and all of that. That becomes a significant problem. And so there is an organization called Smile Train who provide free surgery for children who have cleft problem and people who cannot afford such a surgery. My contribution to this organization is via something that I have put forward. Pardon me, is something like this. You have paintings that are available from myself and others in painting blocks. So if you are interested in CSR activities, kindly reach out to me, whether as a person or as an organization. We do a lot of CSR activities, and all of the proceed goes to these charities. We also do it for leukemia for children. So I would definitely appreciate some help from any of you. Hope
Sure.
you have a wonderful time. Enjoy.
Yeah, and Chittaranjan, can you please share your email ID once again, since like you've mentioned this, if they want to reach out to you, where can they reach out to you at?
Best way, again, I'm a digital marketer, so Google my name, Chirantan Ghosh, and
Sure,
you will
sure,
find all my details over there. But also in
sure.
the webinar, you see my Twitter handle is there, my LinkedIn is there. I'm available all across.
Got it. So definitely, I'll also spread across the word about this in my organization. And if anyone is interested, they'll definitely contact you.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you,
Kapil. Thank
Chittaranjan.
you.
Thank you. Well, thank you.